Aaron Rodgers is a really big name, but he doesn't own much. I mean, he has some money with the Milwaukee Bucks, probably 0.5%. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, like Peyton Manning has a company called Omaha Productions. It's going to sell for $500 or $600 million. Peyton Manning owns stuff like all over the country. The Manning family is, $1 billion. You add all this stuff up. Brady owns stuff. It's totally different. Aaron Rodgers just makes a lot of money. A lot of people, a lot of attorneys, a lot of athletes, they make a lot of money. They don't own anything. Oh, they may have a little stake in this soccer team or a little stake over here, but they don't own their own companies. And so Aaron's really publicly, he's very popular. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, last 20 years, are the two most important quarterbacks in league history, and they're the two studs. They're the guys. And the Kobe-Michael relationship was really unique in that, like, Michael was old, and then here came this wildly respectful kid, Kobe, that worshiped Jordan. It was a very almost like brotherly relationship where it wasn't feisty. They weren't competing against each other. But generally speaking, these rivals are really petty. Like Brady and Peyton, publicly, it's all chummy because they're good guys, and it's all buddy. We got Brady's phone during Deflategate. He's poking, hey, that Manning guy ain't me. And remember the story that came out last week where Peyton Manning, after Matt Ryan won the NFC Championship, he went to dinner with his family that night. The first phone call he got was from Peyton Manning. He said, how are you going to beat Brady? I read that story this morning. That wasn't about Peyton helping Matt Ryan. It was about Peyton keeping Tom Brady from winning another Super Bowl. They're wildly, by the way, they're friends, but behind the scenes, they're paddling like crazy because they are easily, Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers, they don't own anything. These guys are legends. They own stuff. They own their own companies. Those companies are going to sell for $1 billion. Aaron just gets a check from Izod and State Farm. That's a whole different ballgame. These guys are generationally massive. You say the name Manning, it's the American royal family in football. It's our royal family in American football, the Mannings. Tom Brady doesn't have any other brothers or sisters playing all these sports, but it is the most significant player in the most popular domestic league ever. And so Brady played the game in New England, like all of us have to do at work. You suck up to this boss. You work a little extra time on this project. You play the game to hopefully get your way over time. Brady, just like the rest of us, had to do that in New England. The version of Brady we're getting in Tampa is a much more authentic version. Now he's wealthy and powerful. And what he wanted was what happened. This is what he wanted. Believe me, if Tom wanted Arians back, Bruce Arians is the coach. That doesn't mean he shoved him out the door. I'm not saying that. But Tom was always this guy. He was a killer. He was intense. He just didn't have the power. That's why he negotiated his way to get out of there, because he wanted more say. We saw that on tape. He wanted more power. Now he's got it. They always say alcohol is a truth serum. So is money. Because the rest of us in society, we all have to play the game to get what we want. And it's gradual and it's slow and it takes forever and it's this boss and that project. You work overtime and then you get the upgrade, the corner desk. We all have to play the game. Tom had to play it for 20 years in New England and didn't have to play it anymore. Alcohol and money. They're the truth serum. This Tom is the way more authentic Tom. You watch Tom versus Time. He's a killer. He is just obsessed by this stuff. By the way, Peyton Manning's a killer. And that's why I love seeing Peyton Manning go to Denver. He literally changed the culture of the franchise. He was the first guy since Elway. It was like Elway's town. They had a bunch of good players. That was Peyton's town. So much so, Peyton moved there. That's where he lives. So I think Brady ultimately, this is what he wants, and he's going to get what he wants. And I think he's in a power position. He knows he's not going to be in it in a couple of years. He's going to, he's going to be out there with TB12 and, doing podcasts like a zillion other people doing podcasts, and his won't be any more popular than a million other people doing podcasts. And TB12, well, get bought or gobbled up by some gigantic zillion-dollar company, and he'll be a little close. He'll be married to a supermodel, have a lot of money, but Tom's in a power spot now. And when you're in these power spots, like LeBron James was in a power spot in Cleveland and in Miami, back in Cleveland, L.A. Tom's still in a power spot, year left, maybe two. LeBron's no longer in quite that power spot. So when you get it, use it. because the corporations do, the owners do. Well, you got to use it. I'll never hold. I have no problem with my great athlete. Kobe Bryant said, "I'm going to Chicago. Get me another player." Lakers are like, okay. We get Paul Gasol. You got to use the power when you have it, because as a performer, you almost never have it. The owners got it. The boss has it. When you have it, use it. They'd use it for you. I saw this story this morning. If I didn't do this for a living, my dream is to be an NFL GM. Now, it's not going to happen, and I've given that dream up. At one point, it was a screenwriter, but I gave that one up when I was like 24. I've given this one up. But there are times that executives say things, and I'm like, come on. So an executive in the NFC told FanSided's Matt Lombardo he thinks Mayfield, two things about him: Seattle's the fit, and he thinks he has a chance to be the comeback player of the year. Okay, so the Seattle fit is obvious. The comeback player of the year is not going to happen. And I'll tell you why. And I'm not anti-Baker here. The last three winners of the comeback player of the year, all incredibly likable. Joe Burrow, carrying a wobbly franchise, has two massive injuries, comes back, leads him to the Super Bowl. I mean, if you don't like that story, I can't help you. That's a great American overcoming success story. Joe Burrow's as likable as anybody in the league. That story's amazing. Before him, it was Alex Smith won comeback player of the year. We thought he was going to have his leg amputated. He played football games. And we all watched those games, and we're literally on our couch watching it, like freaking out watching it. Easy to vote for. The third was Ryan Tannehill. Goes to dysfunctional Miami. We've cast him aside. He's no good. Goes to Tennessee. Literally, they're his life preserver. Gets to the AFC Championship. Again, these are incredibly likable stories. What's Baker Mayfield coming back from? The last three winners were likable. Baker's a lot of things. I don't think likability is one of them. And Seattle's got a terrible roster and a great division, so they're not winning very many games. I think what Baker's story right now, and it's not a good one, is he doesn't have a market and he got dumped. That's his story. Now, he can turn that around by going to like a Seattle and crushing, but I think Baker's going to realize, and a lot of us in life realize it too late. You break up with a girlfriend and you realize, I made a big mistake. Yeah, she kind of upgraded, and I'm out here at the hanging around the garbage dump and being a schmuck. I think Baker's smart enough, because I do think Baker's smart. I think he can be sometimes immature, but I think he's smart. I think he's going to realize really quickly, boy, that was good. Because if you look at Seattle, where he could go, and he does fit there, and you look at Cleveland's got the much better O-line, much better running backs, arguably the best pass rusher in the world in Myles Garrett, an offensive coach, and they really believed in him. And he kind of screwed it up. And Seattle is in a brutal division with easily the fourth best roster and a 70-year-old defensive coach and a bad O-line and B-level running backs. And they haven't had a good pass rusher consistently. And Bobby's gone and Russell's gone and DK Metcalf could be on the block. And he's good, but he's probably a 1A, not a 1. And I think Baker's going to realize, damn it, I messed this up. I think Baker's better than Drew Lock, but my staff, this is what they do. I said this morning, yeah, Baker would beat out Drew Lock because I think he's better. I think they both have good arms, and they can both move. Drew Lock's arguably a better athlete. I just think Baker works in this league if you give him pieces. But my staff put it up there and said, I don't know. Last 14 starts, numbers are virtually the same. Now, here's where I would defend Baker. So the staff does this sometimes. They try to manipulate me. But you guys are using the last 14 starts. He's been hurt in 7 of them. Why don't you give me the last 25 starts? And the numbers don't look the same. So that's not fair because the last 14 starts, Baker's labrum, knee, and ankle should not have been on a football field. Okay. They were self-inflicted. Nonetheless,